All right. Deontay Wilder, coach, talks back-to-back fights with Luis Ortiz, Tyson Fury, and also going to talk about whether or not Deontay Wilder is the face of American boxing. Coming up in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you can get the notifications, and check out the live streams we do every morning, Monday through Friday, right around 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 12 Eastern. Check out OG Boxing Talk we do on Sunday morning, and definitely check out the Patreon. We have a lot of really good stuff coming up on the Patreon, so definitely check that out. JD's gave an interview to World Boxing News, shout out to World Boxing News, and talked about the progress that how he felt Deontay Wilder was doing in his last fight against Dominic Breazeale, and what that means relative what does that mean as far as him going forward. He once again reiterated that something that Deontay Wilder said before the Dominic Breazeale fight, that he is really focusing on doing everything right, eating right, training right, working on the fundamentals, and when he does those things, then Deontay Wilder is on a different level. So I found that interesting because, at first I thought to myself, wow, shouldn't you be really focused on the fundamentals and doing things right all the time? But then I thought to myself, this guy's had 40 professional fights, man. He's been as far as the amount of the length of his reign as a heavyweight champion, it's been one of the longer in history. So it's understandable that a guy might get bored doing the fundamentals, or just feel like he's really good enough where he might not need to put in all of the work and all the detailed preparation that he did earlier in his career. And if that's the case, I can understand that. And it would be a good reaction having a very close fight with Tyson Fury to wake up and think to yourself, look, man, I've got to continue to get better. The last two fights were a little close for comfort. Luis Ortiz was a little too close for comfort. Tyson Fury was definitely too close for comfort. And so then you go back and you get you focus and get, everything as tight as it can be. You come back for Dominic Breazeale, knock out Dominic Breazeale when he sees the opening. And okay, now you feel like, all right, man, now I'm really back on it. So going back into Luis Ortiz, I think that's a very healthy attitude for Deontay Wilder to have. I'm glad that he had it. The funniest thing to me, though, is that diet. That's hard for me to relate to. Somebody saying that, I got to eat. Most people, that's a nice problem to have. Most people have the problem that I don't need to eat so much, or I need to really keep my weight down in between fights, right? That's something a lot of fighters have gone through. But to have your issue being that you don't keep enough weight on, that you don't really like to eat, that you really like to work out to the point where, your body weight is probably too low for the weight class that you're in. That's a nice problem to have. And he definitely fixed that problem in the Dominic Breazeale fight, coming in, I believe, about 11 pounds heavier than he did against Tyson Fury, and fighting a guy, Tyson Fury, that weighs, a guy that's going to outweigh you by 50 pounds. What did he weigh? Like 263? Is he 6'9", 263 in the fight against Deontay Wilder? Deontay Wilder's coming in at 212, right? So that's, 51 pounds. Being able to chop that 60-pound weight disadvantage down to 50 pounds, that's significant. It's still a really big guy, but being able to feel stronger, being able to take his shots a little better, to have a little more base, I think is really going to serve him well. And that's what JD says about the preparation for these fights coming up. Now, JD says something that leads into some conversations we were having on Best Fight the Best channel. If you're not familiar with Best Fight the Best, for everybody that cannot stand me, everybody that disagrees with me and wants to debate me, go to Best Fight the Best channel, BFTB, and you will get every bit of the debate that you want. I highly recommend you guys go to that channel because I ain't wasting my time on you. But Best Fight the Best loves it. So that brings joy to his day to debate with guys like that. But in that video, I mean, in the last live stream that he did, there was a conversation going on between he and the people that he had on his panel. And they talked about who's the face of boxing. Is the face of boxing? Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing, right? Somebody else said no. Anthony Joshua was the face of boxing. Then somebody said no, it's Deontay Wilder is the face of boxing. So I wanted to share my opinion on that towards it, and my point of that, I don't think that there is a single face of boxing, but I want to make 2 points. Who decides who the face of boxing is? Is it, the first thing is who actually gets to decide who the face of boxing is? And number 2, who is the face of boxing? On the first point, I think a lot of people get something wrong because they always talk about casual boxing fans when they talk about who is the face of boxing. Since most casual boxing fans never watch boxing, I don't think that they have a face to boxing. They're just told, hey, I want to watch a fight, or my friends are watching a fight. I heard that these guys are fighting. It's going to be a good fight. My friend's having a party. I'm going to go to the party. Oh, Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, I've heard of him. He's the guy that we go to the fight parties with. At that stage, Floyd Mayweather Jr. was widely known by casual boxing fans. And he was the face of boxing because he was driving most of the conversation that was taking place in the sport. And it's the second phenomenon that I just mentioned that I believe makes somebody the face of boxing. Are you driving the conversation, the day-to-day conversations in the boxing world? Whenever you're talking boxing, does your name come up? Does your fights come up? Are people interested in seeing for good or for bad what you're doing? Like the saying, love me or hate me as long as you have your butt in your seat. That applies most specifically to boxing fans. I have a hard time assigning this name, face of boxing, and having that be decided by how many people that don't watch the sport know who you are. Who are the fighters? So for me, I guess that's the best way to say it. For me, the face of boxing is the person that drives most of the conversation in the sport. And I think that there are several people that do that in boxing right now. Canelo Alvarez pushes the conversation in boxing. Deontay Wilder pushes the conversation in boxing. Errol Spence Jr. pushes the conversation heavy in boxing. Along with Errol Spence Jr. is the people that he would fight. Are you going to fight Terence Crawford? The Terence Crawford Errol Spence fight is a center conversation in boxing. The Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder Anthony Joshua fight are the center of the conversations in boxing. It was Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua until Anthony Joshua got knocked out. So long story short on it for me is that there really isn't one person that is the face of boxing, that is really driving the conversations in the sport of boxing. Canelo Alvarez has a strength in that he brings that he is the face of Mexican boxing, that when the Mexican fan base is involved, that he is clearly controlling the market, the largest section of the market of Mexican fight fans. And since Mexican fight fans are a big portion or a significant portion of the boxing world, his name, he carries a lot of weight. He is not the center of the conversation in the in the world of the black fight fan. People are not hanging off, wondering whether or not what Canelo Alvarez is going to do about this, what Canelo Alvarez is going to do. They're not really tripping too hard on Canelo Alvarez fighting Sergey Kovalev or Canelo Alvarez fighting Gennady Golovkin. If the conversation about Canelo Alvarez right now is, are you going to fight Jermall Charlo? When are you going to fight Jermall Charlo? Why won't you fight Jermall Charlo? Now, Jermall Charlo's not in the center of every conversation about boxing, but he is in the conversation relative to Canelo Alvarez. So I think all of these fighters have conversations going on about them in the sport of boxing that are the centerpieces. Mikey Garcia and Vasily Lomachenko is that type of conversation. But I don't really believe that Vasily Lomachenko is the talk of the hardest of the hardcore boxing fans, because you really do have to appreciate the guy's skill. He's trying to be pushed because he's such an excellent fighter onto the rest of the boxing world. But for the most part, I don't see a lot of people buying it. Same thing with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is an excellent, excellent fighter. He has a good market penetration in the Black community, but I think that most of the conversation with him revolves around whether he's going to fight Errol Spence or not. Errol Spence Jr. truthfully can fight Keith Thurman. He can fight Manny Pacquiao. He can fight Canelo. He can fight Terence Crawford. So it seems as if most of the conversation in that welterweight division revolve around him. So the two big fighters the fighters that are who are contesting to be the face of boxing, the top guy in boxing, are Canelo Alvarez, Deontay Wilder, and Errol Spence Jr. I think that I'm missing one. And Anthony Joshua still, I do believe, has the outside potential to do that. And I say the outside potential to do that. He's got to beat Andy Ruiz, and that's no easy task. But then he's got to also do something like beat a Tyson Fury, beat a Deontay Wilder. Notice that I left Tyson Fury out of it, because I don't believe that's the case with him in the United States or the UK. So anyway, that's my thought on it. And with that, I'm out. Peace.